Before starting the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Dusk slowly thickened over the city and its inhabitants, as was their custom, turned off their television sets and tuned in for a nap. Only the light was on in the maternity ward of the city hospital, and two nurses were talking quietly. "Verun, how long are you going to grieve?" "Well, gone and gone." "Good riddance," said Larissa, trying to find the right words to reassure her friend. "Yes, I understand everything. I love her, but I can't hold her back. Also the mother, and did not become a mother for 7 years. And Oleg just got tired of waiting. All of his friends have been fathers for a long time. And here I am, barren. Who needs me at 30 years old?" With tears in his eyes exclaimed Vera. "Stop it, my friend. A normal man would never leave his wife. It means that you didn't need each other. You have been divorced by life." Larissa answered and left the nurse's room. In response, Vera was silent, offensively pressed her lips. She understood that Larissa said so because she, herself, at home everything is normal, and her loving husband and children are waiting for her after work. Vera did not want to go back to the apartment, where after Oleg's departure, everything seemed so alien and joyless. The girl was painfully aware of the fact that she was childless, and when the realization of her inferiority swallowed her whole. Then at such moments, the only relief for Vera was her work. Like Larissa, she was a nurse midwife in the maternity ward. Every day, seeing the happy faces of parents holding their babies in their arms, Vera felt a barely perceptible sense of envy. Just like these young mothers, she wanted to hold her baby in her arms and surround him with love and care. Vera loved children very much. At the sight of a nurse's happy face, at the moment when she was carrying a newborn baby for feeding, you could tell with absolute certainty that she worked for her vocation. Vera had dreamed of becoming a nurse since childhood. She'd loved to put on her mother's white coat and stare long hours at her reflection in the mirror. Although her mother had nothing to do with medicine and worked as a cook at the local canteen, Antonina Mikhailovna, of course, did not understand why her daughter had an obsessive desire to become a nurse. But despite this, the loving mother did not oppose the will of Vera. So when her daughter graduated from high school, Antonina Mikhailovna did everything to get her into medical school. And now, working in a maternity hospital, our heroine warmly remembered her mother, who helped make her cherished dream come true. Unfortunately, Antonina Mikhailovna was no longer able to rejoice in her successes. An insidious illness took the life of an unfortunate woman just 6 months ago, and Vera felt the loss of a loved one deeply. And then Oleg also left her and went to another. It's all one-to-one. From a state of painful memories, the young nurse brought Larissa's voice. "Verun, let's go to the 7th ward. There is a woman in labor brought in serious condition. They say she got sick at the train station and lost consciousness. She seems to be homeless. Her belly is huge. It can't be twins, or even triplets. I feel a complicated birth coming." Vera immediately put aside her melancholy thoughts and followed her friend. Delivery woman Larissa talked about, to her surprise, turned out to be very young. She did not look 20 years old. Oh, how pale. Small. And what a huge belly, flashed in Vera's head. The nurse approached the girl and, addressing her with care and concern, asked her how she was feeling and what her name was. The girl visibly perked up. Her eyes immediately lit up with hope that she would be helped here and would not be judged. As it turned out, the young woman in labor was named Alina. She was a newcomer, and on top of that, an orphan. But Vera was unable to find out more. Soon Alina went into labor and was rushed to the maternity ward. As Larissa suspected, the labor turned out to be very difficult. The situation was exacerbated by the fact that she was on the verge of physical exhaustion. In addition, her mental state also left much to be desired. Imagine the surprise of the nursing staff when Alina gave birth to 3 pink-cheeked babies, 2 giant boys and a beautiful girl. Head of department, wiping his forehead with a damp napkin, tiredly muttered, "This is just incredible, colleagues. In my practice, this is the first such case. A real sensation." Even the women in labor from the next room came to see the amazing girl and her beautiful babies. What a piece of jewelry workmanship. I wish I could do it. She's giving birth for the first time and 3 kids at once. And this is only my 2nd time here. And it already feels like I've spent half my life in a maternity hospital, said one of the women enviously, looking at Alina and her 3 babies. Except that the girl herself did not look happy. In the corners of her huge, as a fond Bambi eyes tears froze. and it was clear that they do not have a gram of joy. In the evening, when the excitement around the record birth woman gradually died down, Vera came to the girl and sat on the edge of the bed and asked, "Why are you sad, my dear? You should be happy. Such happiness. 3 little children. Many people only dream of this." In response, Alina wiped away a tear and, sniffing her nose, replied briefly, "There is nothing for me to be happy about. Some people are happy, some aren't." After these words, she turned to the wall, all her appearance showing that the conversation was over. Vera, shaking her head, went to the nurse's room. The night promised to pass quietly, and the girl, bypassing the wards, passed the time by reading some unpretentious novel about love and romantic relationships. But to enjoy the book, this night, she, alas, was not destined to. Vera, who always reacted sensitively to any noise, suddenly heard the friendly crying of several babies. Cautiously walking down the corridor, Vera realized that the crying came from the room of a new mother with 3 babies. Opening the door, the nurse saw that the window was wide open, and in the room, there was no one, except for the 3 crying babies. It appeared that the young mother had simply run away from the maternity hospital, leaving her children to fend for themselves. "My God, my darlings, how could it be? Why did your mother leave you?" Vera whispered, taking each of the babies in her arms, one by one, in order to calm them. Soon, the news that Alina had run away spread throughout the maternity ward. All this time, Vera was in the ward, next to the babies, not a step away from them. "Vera, the shift is over. It's time to go home. Your eyes are already red from lack of sleep," said Larissa, putting her arm around her friend's shoulders. "Larissa, thank you for your concern, but I'll stay on duty more. I'm not tired at all. I'll sit with them. No one needs them." "What an idiot you are. You understand, they are strangers to you and will never become family." "Yes. What am I saying? You know everything yourself." "Well, God be with you. I'm going home." Larissa tossed goodbye, taking off her medical coat in the nurse's room and dressing in her everyday clothes. Meanwhile, Vera continued to care for the babies, despite the fact that it was her legal day off. Only at the request of the head of the maternity ward did the woman agree to go home to rest. But instead of resting, Vera went to the social welfare fund, intending to pick up the babies who were orphaned after their mother ran away. To Vera's dismay, her request was denied. "Vera Nikolaevna, don't misunderstand us. We cannot grant your request. Your marital status does not allow us to give you the upbringing of 3 children. You are divorced, do you understand? Your living quarters are small, and a nurse's salary is not likely to provide for such a large family, so there's no chance for me." "What will happen to the children now?" Vera asked with despair in her voice. "Well, all is not lost for you, Vera Nikolaevna. Improve your living, family, and financial conditions. Apply for guardianship, and the children will stay in an orphanage for the time being," replied the Social Welfare and Guardianship Fund employee in a mundane voice. Upset, Vera went home. In her head, just could not understand such injustice. In addition, the unfortunate woman longed for the children, whom she had already considered close and family. That day, Vera cried into the evening, her face buried in the pillow. The bitterness of being separated from the children squeezed her heart and caused her unbearable heartache. The employee of the welfare fund was right, and after the children were discharged from the maternity hospital, they were placed in an orphanage. All this time, Larissa dissuaded her friend from trying to get custody of the babies. "Vera, please, change your mind." "Well, why do you hang such a burden on your neck? It's 3 children. You can't be serious. You got your own life to live, and you're trying to make someone else's. You wouldn't understand, Larissa. I love them, and I feel they're like family to me. I could still make my life better if I wanted to," confidently answered Vera, who has been helping the children all the time, visiting them on weekends. Imperceptibly rustling with the pages of a torn calendar, 3 months flew by. One day, on her way home from work, Vera went to the store to buy baby food and diapers for the children. Suddenly, at the bus stop, she saw Alina, the same girl who had been the baby's birth mother. She seemed tired and exhausted, which made her look a few years older. Vera, at first, wanted to just walk past, but then, nevertheless, approached the negligent mother and said, "Hello, and you, I see, do not even eat conscience? How could you do that? Abandon your children and live on your own, as if it has nothing to do with you." In response, the girl lowered her eyes and, wiping away the flowing tears in a hail of tears, said, "I don't know myself how I should live now. You see, I came to the capital from the provinces. I was 18 years old. They promised me a job as a maid in a hotel, but they tricked me into it. So I got pregnant by a client, and when I got pregnant, they threw me out on the street. No place to live. Not a penny of money. I wanted to kill myself, but I can't. I'm weak-willed. Do you have any relatives?" asked Vera, shocked by the girl's confession. "I have no one. I'm an orphan. You see, I am an orphan and I left my children behind," reproachfully answered Vera, who felt sorry for the poor girl. In response, Alina only cried even more, covering her face with her hands. Come on, honey. Stop it. Come with me. My apartment is not much, but have a place. Stop wandering the streets or else you will get in trouble," Vera suggested, taking her hand. Already at home, over a cup of tea, she told Alina that the babies were named Artemka, Vanya, and Masha. "Are they really doing well?" the girl asked hopefully. "Well, I try to visit them from time to time and buy all the necessary things," said Vera, who heard in the girl's voice a note of concern and longing for the children. That evening, they chatted until late at night, talking about everything. The next day, the landlady decided to help Alina find a job. As it turned out, Vera's classmate was a manager at a supermarket and had long complained that she did not have enough good salespeople and cashiers in the sales room. Of course, not God knows what, but still, a job, said the woman, while looking at her guest suspiciously. Alina, having heard about it, gladly jumped at such an offer, despite the fact that during the internship and training she will work part-time. "Well, darling, you see, life is getting better. Now we need to think carefully about how to take the children," said Vera with a smile, hugging the skinny orphan girl by the shoulders. But this time, before going to the Social Welfare and Guardianship Fund, the woman prepared more thoroughly. She registered Alina in her apartment and took references from her place of work, characteristics, and data on income. Vera did not forget to consult a lawyer so that she knew all the ins and outs of guardianship. The guardianship service was very surprised to see Vera for the second time. But now, the woman's paperwork was flawless, and her petition was granted. So, thanks to her persistence and perseverance, in about a month Vera and Alina were able to take the children out of the orphanage. They wheeled the strollers around town and looked like two happy mothers with twins. Since Vera and Alina worked in shifts, they alternated between working and taking care of the children, filling in for each other. Time went by unnoticed. Before the happy mothers could look back, the year flew by. Alina had already mastered the supermarket and was considered one of the best salespersons. Vera, as before, worked in the maternity ward, helping women in labor to find the happiness of motherhood. But only now, and in her life became meaningful. If before she returned from work to an empty apartment, now she was greeted by the joyous hubbub and joyful laughter of children. In her mind, this was what true women's happiness was supposed to look like. Of course, without a loved one by her side, it could not be considered complete. But Vera preferred not to dwell on it and not get upset over nothing. But in the life of Alina, on the contrary, a pleasant young man appeared. Modest girl rarely talked about him, but Vera knew that the guy's name was Maxim, and he worked as a security guard at the same supermarket where Alina worked. Their relationship developed gradually. The young people looked at each other for a long time, as if they were afraid to open up to each other. At first, it was just shy mutual glances and smiles. But eventually it came to a first date, and then everything started to whirl. Like in a movie, romantic meetings, kisses and walks under the moon replaced each other in a dizzying whirlpool of love and passion. More than anything in the world, Alina was afraid that Maxim, upon learning that she was a mother of many children, would leave her. But the guy, to his credit, was very decent, and he was not embarrassed by the 3 children of his beloved girl. As it turned out, the guy was raised by his father, and for most of his childhood, he grew up without his mother. Alina felt very comfortable and relaxed next to Maxim. The guy was simple and reliable, the kind of guy she wanted to be around forever. "Are you in love, Alinka, by any chance?" jokingly asked Vera, not knowing that her question hit the bullseye. "I am. You know, he is so nice. He says he wants to marry me. Also, we have already applied to the registry office. There will be no big wedding. So we will get married and have a dinner in a circle of relatives at a restaurant." "Wow, what news!" "Well done, my friend, and thank you for informing me in time, and I do not even have a dress." said Vera, smiling, who was pleased that Alina's personal life is going to change. The woman did not even think about herself, believing that her time had passed. That's ok, the children are there. And that's ok, she calmed herself down, taking care of the kids. A month flew by without a trace, and the long-awaited wedding day came. Alina had a fancy dress, of which she had dreamed since her school days. Maxim looked in his bride's eyes with love and care and felt over the moon. The young couple invited their colleagues and relatives to the ceremony in the person of Maxim's father and Vera, who was considered to be Alina's godmother. After the newlyweds exchanged rings and went to the restaurant, Vera decided to go home. The woman was very worried about the children who were left in the care of her neighbor. To Vera's surprise, she was accompanied by Maxim's father, Andre. "And what should I do here with the young people? Let them have fun and relax," he explained, seeing Vera's questioning gaze. "Yes, I do not mind. Come on, I'll make you a cup of tea." "I will gladly agree. But on one condition. You do not have to otherwise I just feel like a pensioner," said Andrew with a smile. On the way to Vera's house, they got to talking and on the whole, even liked each other. Now it became clear to Vera that Maxim was just like his father. Andre had exactly the same confident look and calm, compliant character. The man told her that after his wife's death, he had never been able to tie his life down to anyone. "It was very difficult for me, but we fought for her for a long time, but it was all to no avail," explained the man, whose voice had a melancholy tone. When he entered Vera's apartment, he immediately noticed that her house lacked a man's hand. "The hinges of your door creak. They need to be greased, and the hanger in the hallway could fall off. Why don't I come tomorrow with some tools and fix everything?" "Yes, I do not mind, but it will have to be tomorrow. And now, we will have an hour with sandwiches," said the hostess with a smile. The evening passed in a pleasant and comfortable atmosphere, and Vera thought that she had not had such a good rest for a long time. Andrew was playing with the small children up to the night, and it was obvious that he really likes children. The man refused the offer to spend the night in the living room and promised to come tomorrow to help with the repairs. It should be said that Andrew kept his promise and brought the apartment of Vera to full order in about a week. The woman could not be glad to have such a welcome guest. Slowly, their relations changed from friendship to something more, and now it was Alina's turn to be happy for her godmother. Of course, at first, Vera and Andrew did not advertise their relationship and were as shy as teenagers. But then, when everything became known, they announced themselves as a couple to the joy of Alina and Maxim. "Wow, now we have another wedding to look forward to," the joyful newlyweds exclaimed together. In reply, Vera and Andrew just smiled and a month later humbly got married in a registry office. Now Alina and Maxim together with their children lived in Vera's apartment. And she herself moved in with Andre, who had a small house outside the city. There among nature and clean air, Vera finally felt happy. There was the man she loved more than anything in the world, and the realization of this added to her strength and gave her hope for a happy future. And about 6 months later, Vera found out she was pregnant. It's hard to say who was most excited about the news, because both parents were in seventh heaven. But one thing is certain, Vera and Andre's house will soon be filled with happy children's laughter, which will fill their hearts with happiness, tenderness, and care.